This is my presentation on the VisionTech Solutions Incorporated, and specifically in the ethical scenario one, where George approaches me because he finds out his daughter is pregnant at 15. His wife wants to terminate the pregnancy, and he comes to me because he wants to know my personal ethical opinion and what I would do if my daughter was in that situation. So I want to break down the initial responses into kind of three categories and what I would do. So the first one, I think this could be often overlooked, but kind of like your initial reaction to that information. If I have an employee that comes to me and looks very uneasy and doesn't look like he wants to talk or is very nervous about what's coming up, I think it's very important for someone to prepare their mind and heart and spiritually to the information to come from that person. And I think even something as little as not having an initial bad reaction or even let your face say words like you're initially thinking, I think preparing yourself for information in the way to kind of calm yourself, compose yourself, and just hear that person and not have an initial reaction is very important, especially when someone's coming to you or coming to me personally about that solution. When George asked me, what I think about it, what's my opinion, and if he likes my past ethical opinions on certain situations within the company, I think it is best to immediately tell him my faith and even how that backs my ethical responses. If he likes the way I respond, if it's not evident already from maybe my personal background and my Christian beliefs, I would first tell him after he asked me my opinion that I'm going to continue the conversation from a Christian standpoint. And I'm going to tell him my values. I'm going to tell him why I believe in the gospel and the gospel's ultimate truth and how the New Testament um, with Jesus Christ, how that shapes how I view certain things and what God says about the situation, how I'm going to do my best to go to him with a Christian point of view and why I think the way I do, especially on this tough situation. And then I would want to hear him, see what he has to say, see his opinion, but then also explain the purpose of life and why I believe the purpose of life is, and how he can communicate that with his wife and daughter. Now I'm going to go to the next slide, which is my point of view on this whole situation, which is pro-life. I believe in Jeremiah 1:5. God says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." There is inherent value to the human life. God knows us before we were born. He also creates us at inception. We are humans. We are living beings at conception. And we are from conception to death until when we die. And that is very important. And I think, explain to him the whole process of what's going on. And if he wants my opinion, I would like to encourage him to keep the child and explain the importance of being there for Kate throughout the whole journey. When you have a child that's 15 be pregnant, that is a very scary and a very hard situation. That's nothing I've ever been put in, and obviously nothing George's ever been put in, and especially with his wife wanting to terminate the pregnancy. I think it's very important if he's coming to me for advice that I would explain the value of human life, how we are born or we are humans at conception, and God has a plan for that child, and God has a plan for us through that. So, in continuing the conversation after we discuss that, I would love to hear what he has to say and what he believes in that, what he thinks about that. And then I want to encourage him to be there for Kate and his family. I think oftentimes than not, when people don't have open communication with their children, that can lead to very difficult situations in the future, especially their relationship and even relationship with the child if that's the Kate's view with the parents. I would want to really encourage him to be open with his child and also with his wife throughout the situation and why he believes the things that he does. If he wants to keep the child, which I would encourage him to do, why he truly believes in that. I would also want to offer ongoing support with George and with Christ. I know that this situation isn't a one time thing, and I would want him to come back to me if he has any questions and if I can support him in any way, but also push him towards Christ in this if he really values Christian ethics. I would also want to put this man, if it was an option, on paternity leave. So, where if Kate can't take care of the child or if his wife doesn't want to, that he would have the ability to go home and be there to support that child if they choose to keep that child. And I would hope they would. And I would hope that I could somehow convince them of that. I can't control anybody, no one can, but somehow convince him of that and hopefully him fighting Christ through it all. But definitely put him on paternity leave to keep that child and walk through that. And then at the end of the meeting, after all conversation, after we discuss, really open up about that, I think it'd be really important for me to offer George prayer in that moment if he's receptive to it, if he wants prayer. And if not, I would obviously pray for him after the fact, but it would be very important to me to go to him and offer prayer and just be there for a man who is struggling with that. This is what I would do. And also, I would like to explain that even with my child, this is kind of the steps I would want someone to go through with me if I was put in that situation, and just have that open communication with George throughout the whole thing. Thank you.